Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome back to Sons of Liberty 1773. I'm your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. Today is January 2nd, 2024, year of our Lord. Well, our true president, Donald Trump, has gone full beast mode. He came out swinging earlier today against the crooked regime that is trying to use crooked judges and lawfare to put him in prison for over 400 years. Because he called out the fraudulent 2020 presidential election. He released a 3-part post on Truth Social. Not only is he breathing fire, he brought the receipts via a 38-page report showing the obvious fraud that took place in the swing states to steal the 2020 election. Here are his posts. Page 1. Summary of election fraud in the 2020 presidential election in the swing states. I am pleased to share a report that is fully verified. Most of the information was gotten from government sources, tapes, and other public records, and compiled by the most highly qualified election experts in the country. These numbers are determinative and in all cases are hundreds of thousands of votes per swing state, more than I needed to win that state. If the Republican Senate does not step forward and address this atrocity, it will happen again and be virtually impossible for Republicans to win elections in the future. Page 2. Remember, I was not campaigning. The 2020 election was long over. What I was doing is bringing to light the fact that the election was, without question, rigged and stolen. As President and Commander-in-Chief, it was my duty to do so. If I did not do this, I would have been in violation of my oath of office and the Take Care Clause, which requires the president to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Therefore, I am entitled to total immunity because that is exactly what I was doing, taking care of our country and guarding it from rigged and stolen elections. Democrats are willing to play a far different game. They are willing to cheat at levels never seen before. Page 3. Please study these numbers carefully, analyze what's been done, keep an open mind, and be smart, because the Democrats are already trying to do it again, but adding one more weapon: prosecutorial misconduct, using the DOJ, FBI, and local attorney generals and DAs to go after crooked Joe Biden's political opponent, me. This is a lethal weapon. But so far, my record poll numbers would indicate that it has backfired on them. The public knows the truth, but Republicans must fight harder and smarter. And before we get into this report, and I'm going to share it, I just want to say that if they don't fix these rigged elections and return to paper ballots, hand count only, same-day voting, voter ID, and the only ones that can do mail-in ballots are deployed military servicemen and women, or somebody with a physical handicap, we are heading in to the 2024 season to another crooked election that will end up in civil war, okay? Why the politicians are not taking this issue deadly serious is beyond me. I don't understand it, but they are setting this country up for a civil uprising they haven't seen since the Revolutionary War or the Civil War. Take your choice. And just real quick, a couple of quick polls, okay? Biden is losing the black vote in massive numbers, okay? In 2020, he had 87% of the vote. In 2024, he's down to 63%. Similar Hispanic votes. Shock poll, reversal of fortune as Trump makes up 38 points with Hispanic voters to lead Biden by 5%. Biden is like in the 30s. Trump is soaring. There's no way in the world that people are going to believe that a Democrat beats Donald Trump in 2024 if this continues, and I believe there's no reason it shouldn't. So here's the report, and it's damning. And look, this evidence is unquestionable. It's absolutely factual, okay? Trump delivers the receipts, and nobody can deny it. They can fact check this all they want. The facts are the facts. Summary of election fraud in the 2020 presidential election in swing states. And I'm just going to skim through this, folks. I am going to leave this link as a pinned comment on this video. So if you want to go through and read it, it won't take long. It's only 38 pages and it's big print. You can go through it rather quickly. So it talks about Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Michigan, where they really stole the election in the swing states. Introduction. It has often been repeated that there is no evidence of fraud in the 2020 election. In actuality, there is no evidence Joe Biden won. Ongoing investigations in the swing states reveals hundreds of thousands of votes were altered and or not lawfully cast in the presidential election. Joe Biden needed them. On election night, November 3, 2020, President Donald J. Trump was sailing to re-election with landslide leads in numerous battlegrounds. In Georgia, President Trump was up by 12 points and over 335,000 votes, with 56% of the vote in at 10:17 p.m. In Wisconsin, President Trump was leading by 121,380 votes in 5 points at 12 a.m., which Fox News anchor Brett Baer noted was not a small margin. In Pennsylvania, President Trump was leading by 659,145 votes at 12:38 a.m., a full 15 points. In Michigan, President Trump was leading by 293,052 votes and 10 points. The election was over. However, precincts in Atlanta, Detroit, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and Milwaukee kept counting until the results reached the desired outcome, which was the opposite of the will of the voters. Georgia went from having a total of 4.7 million votes already on record for the state, according to Brad Rath, the Raffensperger's count on November 4, to certifying almost 5 million. This was 300,000 more votes than what the top election officials claimed were cast in the election. Getting to the results in Georgia and other states created an irredeemably compromised election, filled with violations of the Constitution, unlawful ballots, widespread broken chain of custody, electronic manipulation, and missing and corrupt election files that made it uncertifiable and impossible to recreate the results. President Trump was right to voice his objections to what has unfolded before the country's eyes. Republican poll watchers were denied access to the counting in multiple jurisdictions, and ballots were counted in secret in the middle of the night. That's all undeniable, folks. And I'll just skim down through the few states here. Georgia was called by 11,779 votes. The vote in Georgia was counted 3 times the original machine count, a statewide hand recount, and a second machine count. Each time the state and Fulton County reported 3 different results. Thousands of fraudulent presidential-only ballots were injected into the second machine count, with huge margins favoring Joe Biden. Ballots that are blank, except for the presidential contest, were counted in batches together, with the pattern appearing in at least 8 counties, including Fulton. This means Georgia did not have the votes to justify its original election results. The second machine count was over 17,000 votes short. Fulton County was instructed to reconcile the results by the Secretary of State and recertify its results without divulging the extent of the vote deficiency to members of the Fulton County Board of Registrations and Elections. Thousands of bogus votes were ultimately added into the election results via the second machine count. This included 20,977 unsubstantiated votes of unknown origin. The results were missing 17,852 ballot images and included 3,125 duplicate ballot images that were counted twice. Skipping down here, forwarding through this. Again, I will leave the link as a pinned comment. You can read all this, folks. Wisconsin. Wisconsin was called by only 20,682 votes. The Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled drop boxes were illegal under Wisconsin's law in a 4-3 decision issued in July 2022. Wisconsin Election Commissioner Megan Wolf unilaterally declared ballot drop boxes could be used to vote in the 2020 elections, even though WEC's commission never voted to adopt this memo. In the city of Milwaukee, nearly half of all its votes were cast by mail, totaling 217,424 ballots. The city deployed 15 drop boxes, with election officials claiming the drop boxes would be under 24-hour surveillance. However, after the election, not a single municipality in the county produced video surveillance of drop boxes in response to open records request. Various responses include: no records exist for your request, no video from the request time frame, no such record exists, and no security cameras. All intentional, folks. And then skipping down here to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was called by 80,555 votes. Months after the election, there were 121,240 more votes than voters, according to the Pennsylvania Department of State. By law, Pennsylvania cannot certify an election with this type of discrepancy. And then Arizona. Arizona was called by a margin of only 10,457 votes. Maricopa County accepted 20,500 mail-in ballots after Election Day 2020, including 18,000 more than the entire election margin. On November 4th, picked up from the U.S. Postal Service. By law, ballots must be received by no later than 7 p.m. on Election Day, which was November 3. Well, when you're stealing an election, they don't follow the law. Maricopa County has no documented chain of custody for 740,000 ballots from the 2020 election. Millions of files of 2020 general election data and security logs were deleted from the elections management server and purged on critical days, including the day before the Arizona audit of the 2020 election began. Remember, they had the cyber firm come in before Cyber Ninjas, and they changed the Wi-Fi password, cover your ears, kid. So it said, fuck you. Remember that? We got scammed, folks. Michigan. Michigan was called by 154,188 votes. A record 5,579,317 votes were cast and certified in Michigan in the 2020 general election, the highest turnout in 60 years. To date, Michigan has never shown 5,579,317 voters listed for the 2020 election in its qualified voter file, the state's database for all registered for all registration records. As of December 2023, Michigan has 271,566 more votes than the number of voters listed in its qualified voter file for November 3, 2020, more than 1.5 times the election margin. Democrats threaten Republicans. Remember this? Democrats threaten Republicans on the Wayne County Board of Canvassers and dox children in order to certify the 2020 results. Monica Palmer, then the chair of the Wayne County Board of Supervisors, cited the fact that 70% of Detroit's mail-in ballot counts were still out of balance and unexplained from the August primary as a reason why she initially voted against certifying the 2020 election results. Palmer was bullied and threatened and feared for her safety due to threats she received from voting no. A Democrat Michigan state representative elect attacked Palmer over her certification vote and revealed that she wouldn't certify it, and revealed where her children went to school, saying, "I want you to think about what that means for your kids." Officials in Detroit illegally blocked Republican poll challengers. Access covered the windows. Remember the pizza boxes, so you couldn't watch them feed in all the bogus ballots. Called the cops and denied lawful challenges in order to count ballots in secret. Affidavits of video evidence revealed thousands of ballots were delivered through a back door of the TCF Center, the central counting facility in Detroit, at 3:30 a.m. on election night. An estimated 289,866 absentee ballots, were identified and sent to people who never requested them, something that would be illegal according to the Senate committee. Mark Zuckerberg gave Michigan $16.8 million through its nonprofit Center for Tech and Civic Life, that they bought the drop boxes, the stuffing boxes. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson made unlawful changes to signature verification rules for absentee ballots ordering election workers to presume all were legitimate. A judge ruled Benson's order was invalid, but not until months following the election, and just 0.1% of mail-in ballots were rejected in the November 2020 election for all signature issues. The rejection rate for mismatching signatures was just 0.04%, and only 1,400 out of 3.4 million ballots were rejected. Secretary Benson lost in court 6 times for issues related to the 2020 election. That's true, folks. Don't know if you know that. A fraudulent voter registration scheme was discovered in October 2020 and documented in a police report in Muskegon County and hidden for nearly 3 years after the 2020 election. A city clerk in Muskegon witnessed a woman drop off between 8 and 10,000 voter registrations at the clerk's office on October 8, 2020, many appearing to be fraudulent. The incident was reported to the Muskegon Police Department 1 week later. 8,000 new voter registrations in Muskegon would amount to over 20% of the city's population of only 38,000 residents. An ensuing investigation confirmed thousands of voter registrations in the same handwriting and many invalid for non-existent addresses. The suspect told Michigan State Police that she was being paid $1,150 per week to find unregistered voters and provide them with a form so they can get registered to vote or obtain their absentee ballot. The police found dozens of new phones and hundreds of prepaid payment cards during the investigation. A Department of State analyst consulted an investigation confirmed a quality of voter applications were clearly fraudulent, and others were highly suspicious, having either erroneous or are missing key pieces of information. Others appear to be legitimate. The organization behind the scheme was GBI Strategies, a firm hired by numerous Democrat campaigns. GBI Strategies was funded by a super PAC called Black PAC, which paid the firm $11,254,919 to register voters for Joe Biden in 2020. Employees at GBI Strategies were paid $15 an hour or $120 a day, according to the police report. GBI Strategies was believed to be operating not just in Muskegon, but throughout Michigan and in other swing states. Democrat Attorney General Dana Nessel's office contacted the Muskegon Police Department and asked Michigan State Police to assist with the joint investigation. The Michigan police then turned the investigation over to the FBI, which buried the story. Jocelyn Benson said time again that, it's the big lie and there is no evidence of widespread election fraud. They knew about what was going on in Muskegon County and throughout the state from this GBI. They took the investigation, Dana Nessel, from the state police and got the FBI involved, and the story went dead. They buried the story. And keep in mind, if you've seen Dr. Frank's work with the hockey stick, right? Trump is leading, like in all the swing states till midnight, a little after, way, way ahead. And then the blue line goes up like that. That's because they were injecting Democrat-only mail-in ballots. You would think the mail-in ballots would mirror percentage-wise the results, which normally they would. But these were ballot harvested to help Joe Biden, and they were hidden, waiting to find out what the count was. And I believe this is where the machines played their part, because they hooked to the internet and they gave real-time results in the swing states, because these are the ones they wanted to cheat in. And once they knew what the shortages were, then came the white vans in, through the back door and all the shenanigans, and they stole the election from the American people. It was a coup. November 3, 2020 was the insurrection. And our country and the world is paying a dear price for this, aren't they? Our constitutional republic is under fire. Many Americans have been wrongfully accused as being insurrectionists when in fact they were peacefully protesting, exercising their First Amendment rights to peacefully assemble and petition the government with a redress of grievances. And they're locking them away, right? Because they want to make an example, folks. We're going to steal elections going forward. And if you question it, we will bankrupt you. We will raid your house in the middle of the night, and we will take you away in front of your children, never to be seen again. Right? Going after Trump. And I'm fearful for Donald Trump, by the way. Listen to what Steve Bannon just said.
President Trump has to be very careful. The security has to be much better, I think. Much better. Tighter, Mar-a-Lago, everywhere. Everybody should be assuming all the time that there are forces out there, dark forces out there, that have made a decision. That decision is that Donald J. Trump, regardless of what votes say, will never return to the White House in control, because they understand once he gets back in, it's game over. Right? The taking on the deep state, his knowledge base today, the knowledge base of people around him. You even see it on the TV shows. They say what worries them when they're talking about all these, Heritage working this, Russ Vogt working this, people throwing names up. They're saying, oh my God, these guys actually are incompetent. At first they said we had malfeasance and incompetence in the first term. Now they just say it's malfeasance because the team knows what's doing and knows where the bodies are buried. So that's why the game, and that's why my number one projection for 2024 is nobody knows nothing, right? We have no earthly idea how this is going to turn out, except you have a irresistible force meeting, a massive resistance. And so this is going to collide. And remember, there's no negotiating, right? What we demand on the return to the original American Republic is non-negotiable. What they've done is non-negotiable to them. So that's where we are.
So what Bannon's saying is they're going to try to eliminate Trump. Did you see what just happened in South Korea with the opposition leader? Guy was in a big crowd speaking, and a guy just like that pulled a knife and jabbed him right there, just wham, and I think he's going to live. Probably just missed his jugular. But it can happen so quick. And so Trump's security team needs to go to another level. They need to be on guard every waking minute that someone's going to try to whack him. They're going to try to JFK him. And that jet he flies in needs to be under 24-hour security. His vehicles, Mar-a-Lago, everywhere. And nobody that isn't 100% trusted, we know him, he's not a harm, he's not a threat, can get near the president at all. Trump, not the puppet. But 2024, folks, and like Bannon said, both sides, we have everything to lose if we don't win. We're going to lose our country. The deep state and our enemies, they have everything to lose because we're going to take them down. When Trump's reelected, they are going down in flames. People are going to prison. That January 6th committee, everyone that was on there should be tried and put in prison for the rest of their life. We want justice. Call it retribution if you want. It is retribution because we want retribution for the injustice they continue to do to America and to American citizens and to Donald Trump. So it's going to get real, folks. I'm telling this next 11 months. This is a 12-round fight, and it's already started. There's 11 rounds left, and it's going to go right down to the last minute. It's not going to be easy, and the politicians are setting us up for complete chaos in November because they've did nothing to restore trust to our electoral process. It'll be a wild year. You are living in historic times. History that will probably be on par with the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and events of that caliber. Those are the times we're living in. So be engaged, and it's going to take every one of us fighting the good fight to win this war. And we are in a war. So let me know what you think, obviously. Ronald Reagan said, if we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape. This is the last stand on earth. Totally true, folks. So if you're new to this channel and you can relate with the content, please subscribe, checkmark the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Please comment below, as I love reading your comments. May God continue to bless our great nation, and may the good Lord keep you and yours safe Until next time, Sons of Liberty out. See you guys.